Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon everyone. We are from group 4. We'll explain about image, imagination, and inspiration. Our group member consists of me, Lailatul Khair Ummah, Ayu Nuratul Azizah, Kevin Surya Maulana, and the last is Fahrul Rafiqi. Happy watching! Okay guys, for the first material is about image and metaphor. Have you ever heard about metaphor before? Yes, metaphor is supposition atau pengandaian. Or we can say that metaphor is say one thing to another. We might call someone as daft as a brush, or say something that doesn't work well with the lemon. Or we can say at the crossroads when we face an important decision. All of the phrases above is about metaphor. Nah, jadi metafor adalah mengandaikan suatu kata dengan kata yang lain, atau kita bisa memakai suatu kata untuk menjelaskan sesuatu yang lain itu. Contohnya di sini adalah kita dapat memanggil seseorang dengan daft as a brush, atau kita bisa menggunakan kata the lemon untuk sesuatu yang tidak berjalan dengan baik. Nah, atau kita bisa menggunakan kata at the crossroads ketika kita dihadapkan dengan suatu pilihan yang sangat penting. Nah, seperti itu. Atau bisa jadi di bahasa Indonesia biasanya kita mengenal seperti ini dalam puisi. Wajahmu indah bagaikan rembulan. Nah, wajah indah bagaikan rembulan itu merupakan metafor, yakni mengandaikan wajah manusia, wajah seseorang itu dengan menyamakannya dengan rembulan. In the metaphor there is an image. What is an image? An image is representation in words of a sensory experience of a person, place, or object that can be known by one or more of senses. Or we can say that an image is a tool that connects the subject of the utterance with the quality of being evoked. Now, you can see the example guys. Daft as a brush. A brush is an image. Then the lemon. The lemon is an image for something that doesn't work well. And at the crossroads is an image when we face an important decision. Nah, jadi image ini merupakan representasi kata dari sensory experience. Jadi sesuatu itu yang digunakan untuk menggambarkan sesuatu yang lain. Contohnya di sini, yang the lemon. Nah, the lemon ini digunakan untuk menggambarkan sesuatu yang tidak bekerja dengan baik. Maka the lemon di sini disebut dengan image. Kemudian yang kedua, at the crossroads. At the crossroads digunakan ketika kita menghadapi sesuatu yang sangat penting. Nah, jadi the crossroads itu merupakan image. Nah, dari sesuatu yang penting itu. Seperti itu. Kemudian seperti di contoh tadi yang saya gambarkan, misalkan wajahmu indah bagaikan rembulan. Maka rembulan ini merupakan image dari wajah yang indah. Karena rembulan ini di sini menggambarkan wajah yang indah, seperti itu. Let's go to the next material about types of metaphor. There is two types of metaphor. The first one is explicit and the second one is implicit. Explicit is metaphoric connection using words like or as, or we can call it by simile. You can see the poem by Anne in the first line, like as the armed knight. Here is the example of explicit metaphor because this poem used word like as. Jadi, metafora yang pertama yakni metafora eksplisit atau biasa disebut dengan simile. Nah, di metafora ini pengandaian digunakan dengan menggunakan kata-kata like atau as. Seperti pada contoh di poem yang dibuat oleh Anne. Nah, di situ like as the armed knight. Pada baris itu dia menggunakan kata-kata pengandaian yakni like as. Nah, itu merupakan contoh dari explicit metaphor. The second one is about implicit metaphor. In other words, the metaphorical intention will be more implicit and sometimes more sustained, like in the Anonymous lyrics, The Silver Swan. In these lyrics, the swan is a figure through which the human voice complains not only of death, but the condition of the world she leaves behind. Jadi pada lirik ini, The Silver Swan ini menggambarkan sebuah keadaan ketika orang itu meninggal, bahkan dunia yang ditinggalkannya. Nah, ini merupakan metaphorical implicit. Kenapa? Karena di sini tidak ada pengandaian secara langsung, tidak menggunakan kata-kata like atau as, tetapi langsung implisit di dalam kata the silver swan. Nah, seperti itu. For the next material will delivered by Kak Ayu. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I am Ayu Aziza and I will explain to all of you about rhetoric. Rhetoric is the art of effective or persuasive speaking or writing, especially the use of figures of speech and other conversational techniques. Despite these activities, the Greek and every part of Western culture since have acknowledged and sought to deploy the power of words. So much of social life, and especially public life, involves persuasion. As soon as a parent encounters the question why, at least some part of her response is going to involve persuasion. Teachers must find ways of engaging their pupils in their subject. Lawyers seek to convince juries, and of course, politicians aim to sway us toward voting for them. All are using rhetoric, that is, language shaped to persuade. Next, part of rhetorical effect. Number 1, the pitch. The pitch is the quality of sound governed by the rate of vibration producing it, or the degree of highness or lowness of a tone. The pitch of the voice and the choice of a jacket are part of rhetorical effect, part indeed of another, newer sense of image. But our primary interest here is with the verbal dimension of rhetoric. We have already explored how different tones such as anger, pathos, humorous can be represented in poetic forms. Within this register, orators deploy particular construction of phrase for effect. Number 2, anaphora. Anaphora is the repetition of a word or phrase at the beginning of successive clauses. The example of anaphora is in Martin Luther King's celebrated civil rights speech, which reiterates this pace. I have a dream that blah blah blah. I have a dream that blah blah blah. I have a dream today. At the opening of each paragraph is an example of this. Such devices or rhetorical figures are quite deliberate, and many generations of students and orators. Prominent figures use rhetorical based on the book Jeffrey Wainwright, Poetry, the Basic Language, or number 1, Martin Luther King, number 2, Cicero, number 3, Alexander Pope, and the last is John Donne. Here's the example of rhetoric. Number 1 is an essay of criticism by Alexander Pope. True wit is nature to advance dressed, what of was thought, but here so well expressed. Sometimes whose true convince at sight we find, that give us back the image of our mind. The number 2 of rhetoric, the example of it is Anatomy of the World by John Donne. He spake to Moses to deliver unto all that song, because he knew they would let fall the law, the prophets, and the history, but keep the song still in their memory. So that's all the presentation of mine. The next presentation will be delivering by my friend.
What is poetic imagination? One feature that seems to emerge repeatedly through time is the notion of imagination in the term poetic imagination to depict the emotional, imaginative, intellectual, and impressive language used to reflect the writer's consciousness. Mode of imagination. First is project imagination. Is characterized with non-pictorial images that cause a sense of matter of factness that reduces imaginative aspect of the poem. There are too many abstractions in image-making process, which makes the poem look like a good prose composition that has been cut off into line like. In the next, we have pictorial imagination. So, is to see the thing image when it is absent but exists in reality. It allows the put to treat image that deal with reality but does not extend to the occasion when imagination is creatively engaged in a project in which the real object is not known. Next, we have pictorial imagination, is to see the thing image when it is absent but exists in reality. It allows the put to treat images that deal with reality but does not extend to the occasion when imagination is creatively engaged in project in which the real object is not known. Next, we have fancy imagination, gather images from memories of sensory perception and mix them together to create new imaginary ideas. It's work according to a machine association of ideas and imposes a perfect briquette or predeterminate pattern upon the world of art. This is the factor in that diminishes the creativity of this mood. Next, we have fancy realist imagination, refers to the poet's imagination process when he makes realistic portrayals of ordinary events and characteristic with fancy image, surrealist element, fantasy and myths. Fancy realist imagination is based on magical realist notion of fantasy as a natural context. And the last we have poetic imagination. Is closely attached to the idea of creation. The creative core of poetic imagination encompasses and defines its other dimension. This mode of imagination is characterized with the highest level of creativity and poeticality.
Welcome guys, on this section I will show you and explain to you what is the meaning of inspiration on making poetry, I mean. So the first one, I think everyone will ask to the master of poetry. It's like the question is like, what kind of inspiration means? On this explanation, I will make you understand what is inspiration is. So the first one is the meaning of inspiration. I will read first on English and I will explain into Indonesian. The meaning. In a poem, the word inspiration is one of the great cliché. Then, what does the word cliché mean by itself? Clichés mean an idea, a view, a mystery, and variety of things in the poet's mind to come up with a work of poetry. So, jadi seperti ini. Dalam sebuah karya berpuisi, sebuah kata inspirasi adalah suatu klise yang sangat besar. Klise, di sini muncul kata klise. Jadi apa itu klise? Klise secara harfiah bermakna yaitu ide, gagasan, ataupun bisa dianggap sebagai misteri di dalamnya, di dalam otak manusia yang dapat memunculkan kreativitas atau karya nantinya, seperti itu. Dan yang kedua seperti ini. The second meaning, it can be I will read first on English and then explain on Indonesia. Or other insects are follows. Inspiration is a splash of creativity in a person's mind that comes naturally or maybe looking around and a greater experience. Jadi maksudnya seperti ini, teman-teman. Inspirasi dapat pula diartikan sebagai percikan suatu kreativitas. Ini dapat juga merujuk kepada klise tadi, menjelaskan klise. Jadi inspirasi adalah suatu percikan kreativitas di dalam pikiran seseorang yang nantinya berguna sebagai bisa berbentuk ekspresi, bisa berbentuk lebih besarnya lebih berbentuk ekspresi kata yang dapat memunculkan rasa, sense di dalamnya, yaitu rasa lebih ke hati pembacanya atau pendengarnya, seperti itu. Jadi sedikit saja teman-teman dari makna inspiration di dalam sebuah poetry. Terima kasih. Untuk section selanjutnya bisa dengan teman saya. Terima kasih. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.